The day my father disowned me, I learned that doing the right thing often comes with the heaviest price. I stood in his study, watching him tear up the check he'd written for my graduate school tuition, the pieces floating down like confetti at a funeral. My name is Zariah, and until that moment, I'd spent 23 years trying to be the perfect daughter. But perfect wasn't enough when you were born female in the Fowler family. You're choosing that disgrace over your own family. Dad's voice boomed across his mahogany desk. Lily made her bed. Let her lie in it. She's still family, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. And what happened wasn't her fault. Not her fault? He slammed his fist on the desk. She accused your cousin Rylan of stealing her artwork. Do you know how much damage that did to his reputation? Because he did steal it. The words burst out before I could stop them. I saw the original sketches in her studio, months before he claimed them as his own. Mom appeared in the doorway, wringing her hands. Zariah, honey, please. Your father knows what's best. Does he? I turned to face her. Or does he just prefer to believe Rylan because he's a man? Dad's face turned that dangerous shade of purple I'd learned to fear as a child. Get out. What? If you want to throw your lot in with that lying piece of trash, then you're no daughter of mine. Get out of my house. Dwayne, please, Mom whispered. But he silenced her with a look. I stood there, trembling, but refusing to cry. Fine. But remember this moment, Dad. Remember it well. I walked out of that study with nothing but my car keys and the clothes on my back. My phone buzzed with a text from Faith. My spare room is yours if you need it. That night, I drove to Lily's tiny apartment across town. She opened the door, her eyes red and swollen. Zariah, what are you doing here? I stood up for you, I said, and now I need a drink. We sat on her threadbare couch, sharing a bottle of cheap wine. Lily's paintings covered every wall, vibrant, emotional pieces that Rylan had claimed as his own, launching his career while destroying hers. I never asked you to sacrifice everything for me, Lily said, refilling our glasses. You didn't have to. I took a long sip. I'm tired of watching him destroy people's lives just because they don't fit his image of success. What will you do now? I looked at her latest painting, a phoenix rising from ashes, its wings spread wide against a blood-red sky. We're going to take everything back. Your art, my dignity, all of it. We? Yes, we. I've got some savings, you've got talent. Let's start our own studio. Lily laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. They'll never let us succeed. Your father has connections everywhere. Watch me. I pulled out my phone and dialed Faith's number. Hey, remember that empty storefront your uncle was trying to rent out? Is it still available? Faith's voice crackled through the speaker. Yeah, why? Because I'm about to do something either really brave or really stupid. I looked at Lily. Want to help me prove my father wrong? A slow smile spread across Lily's face. You're serious about this? Dead serious. I raised my wine glass. To new beginnings and sweet revenge. Zariah, Lily hesitated. What if we fail? Then we fail on our own terms, not his. I stood up, feeling more alive than I had in years. But we're not going to fail. We're going to build something so successful that one day he'll have to look at what we've created and know that everything he believed about us was wrong. My phone buzzed again, a text from Mom. Please come home, we can fix this. I typed back, nothing to fix, I'm exactly where I need to be. Then I blocked both my parents' numbers and turned to Lily. Tomorrow, we start planning. Tonight, we celebrate our independence. We stayed up until dawn, plotting our future between bottles of wine and take-out Chinese food. With each hour that passed, the weight of my father's rejection felt less like a burden and more like freedom. As the sun rose over the city, I stood at Lily's window, watching the world wake up. You know what the best revenge will be, I said. What? Success? Pure, undeniable success. And when we achieve it, we won't owe him a single thing. Little did I know then just how sweet that revenge would taste, or how high the price of success would be. But standing there in that moment, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Hope. 3 months into our venture, and the studio looked more like a storage unit than an art gallery. Faith sat cross-legged on our only chair, watching me hang track lighting, while Lily arranged her latest paintings against the exposed brick wall. You know, Faith said, scrolling through her phone. Most people would have given up by now. I wiped sweat from my forehead. Most people haven't met my father. The bell above the door chimed, and a well-dressed woman walked in, her heels clicking against our unfinished concrete floor. Is this an art gallery? It will be, I said, climbing down the ladder. We're opening next week. I'm Zariah, and this is Lily, our featured artist. The woman's eyes swept over Lily's paintings, lingering on a particular piece, a woman breaking free from chains made of golden thorns. Interesting, very raw, but I've never heard of either of you. That's about to change, Lily said, her voice stronger than I'd heard it in months. I'm Margaret, from the Downtown Business Association. She handed me her card. We're hosting an art walk next month. Normally, we only invite established galleries, but she gestured to the thorn painting. How much? 3,000, I said without hesitation, ignoring Lily's sharp intake of breath. Margaret raised an eyebrow. For an unknown artist, for a masterpiece. I met her gaze steadily. Look at the detail in those thorns, how they catch the light. That's not just paint, it's emotion made visible. She studied the painting for another long moment. 2,000, 2,500, and we'll deliver it personally. Done. She pulled out her checkbook. And I'll add you to the Art Walk roster. Don't make me regret this. After she left, Lily grabbed my arms. Are you insane? That painting wasn't even finished. It is now, I grinned. We just made our first real sale. Faith clapped. This calls for celebration. I'm ordering pizza. Later that evening, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and half-finished beers, Faith helped us crunch numbers. Okay, with Margaret's check, you can cover this month's rent and still have enough for supplies. Barely, I muttered, thinking of my dwindling savings. You need publicity, Faith said. I know a blogger who… No, Lily interrupted. No publicity. What if Ryland sees it? Let him see it, I said. Let them all see it. Faith, call your blogger friend. The next week passed in a blur of preparations. We worked 18-hour days, transforming the space into something that almost resembled a professional gallery. Almost. On opening night, exactly 6 people showed up. 1 was Faith. 2 were her parents. The others were lost tourists, looking for a bathroom. Well, this is depressing, Faith said, munching on cheap cheese cubes. It's just the beginning, I insisted, but my voice wavered. Then the door opened, and my mother walked in. My heart stopped. Mom? She looked around nervously. Your father doesn't know I'm here. Of course he doesn't. I crossed my arms. Why are you? Because… She pulled an envelope from her purse. Because I saved this. From your college fund. Inside was a check for $5,000. I tried to hand it back. I can't. Please. Her voice cracked. Let me do this one thing right. Before I could respond, the door chimed again. This time, it was the blogger Faith had contacted, accompanied by a photographer. Perfect timing, Faith called out. Lily, show them your newest series. As Lily led them through the gallery, Mom squeezed my hand. You've built something beautiful here. It's not enough, I whispered. Not yet. It will be. She kissed my cheek. I have to go. But Zariah… She paused at the door. I'm proud of you. 2 days later, the blog post went live. By that evening, our phone wouldn't stop ringing. The next morning, 3 pieces sold before noon. Holy shit, Faith said, refreshing the blog page. The post went viral. You're trending locally. Lily burst through the door, waving her phone. Have you seen the comments? They love it. They actually love it. I was about to respond when a new email popped up. My hands shook as I read it. What? Faith and Lily asked simultaneously. The Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art. I looked up, barely breathing. They want to feature Lily's Thorn series in their Emerging Artist Showcase next month. Lily collapsed into our single chair. That's impossible. That's karma, Faith said, grinning. I printed the email and pinned it to our inspiration board, right next to the first dollar we'd earned. No, that's just the beginning. Now let's make them remember our names. The universe, it seemed, had finally decided to deal us a winning hand. We just had to be brave enough to play it. Rising from Thorns, the unstoppable ascent of artist Lily Miller. I stared at the magazine cover, still unable to believe it was real. The photo showed Lily in our now thriving gallery, surrounded by her latest works. They actually used my real name, Lily whispered, touching the glossy page. Not his, mine. 2 years had transformed our shabby storefront into one of the city's most talked about galleries. The exposed brick walls now held pieces that regularly sold for 5 figures. And we'd expanded into the space next door. Faith burst through the door, coffee carrier in one hand, her tablet in the other. Have you seen the waiting list for commissions? It's insane. I can't keep up, Lily admitted, running her fingers through her paint-streaked hair. Maybe we should consider. The gallery door chimed. A familiar voice made my blood freeze. Quite an empire you've built here, Zariah. I turned slowly. Dad. He stood there in his expensive suit, looking exactly as he had the day he'd thrown me out. Beside him, Rylan shifted uncomfortably. What do you want? I asked, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Can't a father visit his successful daughter? He spread his arms wide. I've been following your progress. Very impressive. Really? Lily stepped forward. Because last I checked, you were telling everyone I was a fraud. Rylan at least had the decency to look ashamed. Listen, about that. Save it. I cut him off. Unless you're here to buy something, we're actually quite busy. Actually, Dad smiled his businessman smile. I'm here to discuss an opportunity. The Fowler Foundation is launching an arts initiative. We'd like to feature your gallery as our flagship project. Faith snorted. You mean now that they're successful, you want a piece of the pie? This could be beneficial for everyone, Dad continued, ignoring her. Think of the exposure, the connections, like the connections you used to blacklist me. Lily's voice shook. To make sure no gallery would touch my work? The past is the past, Dad waved dismissively. I'm offering you legitimacy. I laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. Legitimacy, we built that ourselves while you were busy trying to destroy us. Be reasonable, Zariah. This could. No. I walked to the door and held it open. We earned every bit of this success despite you, not because of you. Now get out. You're making a mistake, he warned. The only mistake I made was spending 23 years trying to earn your approval. After they left, Faith let out a low whistle. That was better than reality TV. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. He's furious. Be careful. I showed it to Lily. We need to prepare. He won't let this go. Let him try something, Faith said, already typing on her tablet. I'm calling my cousin at the Times. It's time people knew the whole story. The next few weeks were a blur of interviews and preparations for our biggest show yet. We worked around the clock, turning the gallery into a testament to resilience and redemption. One evening, as we were setting up the final pieces, a young woman approached Lily. Your work saved my life, she said quietly. I left my abusive husband after seeing your Breaking Free series. Lily hugged her, both of them crying. I stepped away to give them privacy and found Faith watching with a smile. You know what the best part is? She said. Every time your father tries to take credit for your success, there are hundreds of stories like that proving him wrong. The opening night of the show was packed. Art critics, collectors, and media filled the gallery. I spotted Mom in the crowd, trying to be inconspicuous. Ladies and gentlemen, I addressed the room, my voice carrying over the buzz of conversation. Tonight isn't just about art, it's about truth, about standing up when the world tries to silence you. Lily joined me at the podium. Every piece in this collection tells a story of survival, of fighting back, of refusing to let others define your worth. The crowd erupted in applause. As cameras flashed, I saw Dad watching from outside the gallery windows, his expression unreadable. Later that night, after the last guest left, we sat on the gallery floor sharing champagne. "We did it," Lily said, raising her glass. "We really did it." My phone buzzed with a news alert. The headline read, "Fowler Foundation under investigation for financial irregularities." Faith peered over my shoulder and grinned. Karma's a funny thing, isn't it? I thought about Dad's face at the window, about all the years of dismissal and doubt. "The best revenge isn't just success," I said. "It's success that helps others rise too." We clinked our glasses together, celebrating not just our triumph, but the sweet taste of justice served cold. The invitation to my cousin Sarah's wedding sat on my desk like a ticking bomb. 3 years had passed since I'd seen most of my family, and now here I was, staring at gold-embossed cardstock that threatened to drag me back into their world. "You don't have to go," Faith said, perched on the edge of my desk. "Send a nice gift and call it done." "I do, though." I picked up the invitation. Sarah stood by me when everyone else turned their backs. I owe her this. The day of the wedding arrived with perfect June weather and knots in my stomach. I adjusted my deep blue dress, designer, because sometimes the best revenge is looking incredible, and walked into the church. "Zariah," Sarah rushed over, her wedding dress rustling. "You came. Wouldn't miss it." I hugged her carefully. "You look beautiful." "She does, doesn't she?" I turned to find Rylan standing there, looking uncomfortable in his groomsman's tux. "Hello, Zariah." "Rylan." My voice could have frozen hell. "I saw your gallery made the cover of Art Monthly," he said, shifting his weight. "Lily's work it's really something." "Yes, it is. The same work you once claimed as your own." Sarah touched my arm. "Please, not today." "Of course." I forced a smile. "Your day, your rules." The ceremony was beautiful, but I felt eyes on me throughout, whispers, stares, judgment. During the reception, I kept to the edges of the room until Mom found me. "You look stunning," she said, touching my hair. "The gallery's doing well." "You know it is. I see you reading all our press." She glanced around nervously. "Your father's business. It's not good, Zariah. The investigation is his own doing." I sipped my champagne. "He made his choices. He wants to talk to you. About a partnership." "No." I set my glass down harder than intended. "I'm not his backup plan." "Zariah." Dad's voice behind me made me stiffen. "We need to discuss this like adults." I turned to face him. He looked older, tired. The investigation was clearly taking its toll. "There's nothing to discuss," I said. "Your foundation is drowning, and you want my gallery's reputation to save it. The answer is no." "You ungrateful." He caught himself, aware of nearby guests. "Everything I did was for this family." "No, everything you did was for your ego." I stepped closer. "You protected Rylan when he stole from Lily. You blacklisted her work. You threw me out for standing up to you. And now that we've succeeded despite you, you want to pretend it was all part of your grand plan." "The foundation is your heritage," he hissed. "Your birthright." "My birthright?" I laughed. "You made it very clear what you thought of my birthright when you tore up that tuition check." A small crowd had gathered, pretending not to listen. Mom touched Dad's arm. "Not here, Dwayne." "Listen to your daughter," came a new voice. Lily stood there in a stunning red dress, Faith beside her. "She built something beautiful from your cruelty. Don't try to take credit for it now." Dad's face darkened. "You weren't invited." "I invited them." Sarah stepped forward. "Because they're family too, Uncle Dwayne. The family you tried to destroy." The silence was deafening. Dad looked around at the watching faces, then straightened his tie. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." I took Lily's arm. "Congratulations, Sarah. I'm sorry we disrupted your day." As we turned to leave, Rylan called out, "Lily, wait." He rushed forward, pulling an envelope from his pocket. I signed a confession about the artwork. It's yours if you want it." Lily took the envelope with trembling hands. Why now? Because I'm tired of lying. He looked at Dad. We all are. Outside in the warm evening air, Faith whistled low. Well, that was dramatic. Are you okay? I asked Lily, who was still holding the envelope. I don't know. She smiled slightly. But I think I will be. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Thank you for coming, and for showing me what real strength looks like. I looked at Lily and Faith, my chosen family. Then back at the church, where my blood family was dealing with the aftermath of truth. Let's go home, I said. We have a gallery to run. And a legacy to build, Lily added. As we drove away, I caught a glimpse of Dad watching from the church steps. For the first time, I felt no anger, no desire for revenge. Just pity for a man who'd built his empire on lies and was watching it crumble under the weight of truth. The best revenge, after all, wasn't just success. It was finding peace, despite those who tried to break you. What do you mean, someone hacked our accounts? I gripped my phone tighter, pacing the gallery floor. How is that possible? Faith typed frantically on her laptop. The transfer went through at 3 a.m. Nearly everything in your business account, gone. Lily burst through the door, face pale. The art shipment for the Miami show. It's been redirected. Someone forged my signature. I didn't need to ask who. Only one person had enough spite and resources to orchestrate this. Your father's getting desperate, Faith said, still typing. The Foundation investigation must be worse than we thought. My phone rang. Mom's number. I answered on speaker. Zariah, please listen, she said, her voice shaking. He's not thinking clearly. The investigators are closing in, and he's trying to destroy us, I finished. Again. He said if you'd just agreed to the partnership. Stop defending him. The words exploded out of me. He's stealing from us, Mom. That's what your husband does. He takes what isn't his and calls it business. The gallery door chimed. A courier handed me an envelope. Legal papers. As I read, my hands started shaking. What is it? Lily asked. He's suing us, claiming we built our success using proprietary business strategies from his foundation. I threw the papers down. He's trying to take the gallery. Faith stood up. Not if we take him down first. Remember that confession Rylan gave you? Lily pulled it from her desk drawer. You think? I think it's time to stop playing defense. Faith grabbed her phone. I'm calling every reporter I know. The next few hours were chaos. Our lawyer arrived, followed by police taking statements about the hacked accounts. Reporters started calling. Social media exploded. Then my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Storage Unit 247, code 1983. What you need is there. R. Rylan, I breathed. Faith, can you drive me? The storage unit was in a quiet industrial area. When we opened it, we found boxes of documents, years of financial records from the foundation. Holy shit, Faith whispered, scanning the papers. This is everything. Every shady deal, every covered-up scandal. Including what he did to Lily? I asked. Especially that. She held up a folder. Emails proving he blacklisted her work and threatened galleries that tried to show it. Back at the gallery, we found Lily talking to a detective. The bank traced the hack, she said. They're freezing all transfers. We've got something better. I dropped the boxes on the desk. Dad's entire house of cards. My phone rang again. Dad this time. I answered on speaker. You think you're clever? He snarled. Playing with things you don't understand? I understand perfectly, I replied. You're going down, and you're trying to drag us with you. But guess what? We have proof of everything. You wouldn't dare. Watch me. I hung up. That night, we worked with reporters, lawyers, and investigators, laying out the evidence. By morning, it was everywhere. Social media, news sites, TV. Fowler Foundation CEO, accused of systematic fraud and artist suppression. Mom showed up around noon, looking exhausted. He's been arrested, she said quietly. They came this morning. Mom, I started, but she held up her hand. No, let me finish. I've spent years making excuses for him, watching him hurt people, hurt you. I'm done. She pulled out a USB drive. This has everything from his home office, bank accounts, offshore holdings, everything. Lily gasped. Mrs. Fowler, call me Madison. She straightened her shoulders. It's time I chose the right side. As she left, Faith looked at her watch. The Miami show opens in 3 days. What do you want to do? I looked at Lily. What do you think? She walked to her newest painting. A phoenix rising from ruins, more powerful than ever. I think we show them exactly who we are. Then let's do it right. I picked up my phone. Sarah, remember how you said you wanted to help? How fast can you get to Miami? The next few days were a blur of preparations, press statements, and legal meetings. But standing in the Miami gallery on opening night, watching Lily's work shine, while Dad's empire crumbled on every news channel, I felt something shift inside me. To karma, Faith raised her champagne glass. To family, Mom added, joining our circle. To truth, Lily said. I looked around at these strong women who'd stood by me, who'd helped turn revenge into redemption. To all of it, I said, and to whatever comes next. Because sometimes the sweetest victory isn't in watching your enemies fall. It's in rising so high they can't touch you anymore. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when Dad was let out in handcuffs. I watched from across the street, sipping coffee with Faith and Lily. 15 years, Faith read from her phone, plus full restitution to all victims. Look at him, Lily whispered. He still thinks he's untouchable. Even in prison orange, Dad walked with his head high, ignoring questions until one reporter shouted, Mr. Fowler, any comment on your daughter's testimony? He stopped dead. His eyes found me across the street, and for a moment I saw raw hatred there. You did this, he shouted. My own blood. Officers pulled him toward the waiting van. I raised my coffee cup in a mock toast. Ms. Fowler, reporters swarmed toward us. How does it feel to bring down your father's empire? No comment. Faith stepped between us. My client is focusing on her gallery's upcoming international expansion. Back at the gallery, I found Mom waiting. She looked smaller somehow, older. The house is being seized, she said without preamble. All the accounts are frozen. You can stay with me, I offered. She shook her head. Sarah's offered her guest house. I need time to figure out who I am without him. Mom. But first, she pulled out a thick envelope. There's something you should see. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Me as a child, winning art competitions, newspaper clippings about my school achievements, gallery opening announcements. He kept these in his private safe, Mom said, along with this. She handed me a letter, dated the day he'd disowned me. It was a draft of a will, leaving me the foundation. He was proud of you, she said softly. He just couldn't bear that you succeeded without him. That's not pride, I handed it back. That's control. The gallery door chimed. Rylan walked in, looking nervous. Before you throw me out, he said quickly, I need to say something. Lily emerged from her studio, paint-streaked and wary. I'm sorry, he continued. To both of you, I was a coward, and I let him turn me into someone I hate. Why help us now? I asked. Because watching you two build something real, something honest. He shrugged. It made me realize what I threw away. If you're looking for forgiveness, Lily started. I'm not. I'm looking to make amends. He pulled out a business card. I'm teaching art at the youth center now. These kids, they remind me of us before everything went wrong. They need mentors. Faith, who'd been unusually quiet, spoke up. We were actually discussing a community outreach program. We were, I looked at her. We are now, she grinned. Think about it. Art classes for at-risk youth, scholarships, mentoring. Using Dad's restitution money to help young artists, I mused. That's poetic justice. It's more than that, Lily said. It's breaking the cycle. Mom touched my arm. This is who you've always been, Zariah. Even as a child, you tried to lift others up. The next few hours were spent planning. By evening, we had the framework for a foundation, a real one, built on helping others instead of hurting them. My phone buzzed with a text from Dad's number, sent by his lawyer. "He wants to see you. Are you going?" Faith asked, reading over my shoulder. "No." I put the phone away. "I'm done letting him dictate my choices." "Good," Lily said, "because we have work to do." She unveiled her latest piece, a massive canvas showing hands reaching up through darkness toward light. "It's for the youth center," she explained, "to show them there's always a way up." Speaking of up, Faith interrupted. "Have you seen today's numbers? The Miami show sales are insane." "Because people love an underdog story," Ryland said. "No," I corrected him. "Because people love truth and hope." Mom hugged me goodbye, whispering, "I'm so proud of who you've become." As the sun set, casting long shadows through the gallery windows, I looked at these people, my chosen family, my reformed enemies, my supporters. We'd turned revenge into redemption, pain into purpose. To new beginnings, Faith raised her ever-present coffee cup. To second chances, Rylan added. To building something better, Lily said. I thought about Dad in his prison cell, still believing in power and control, still not understanding that true strength comes from lifting others up, not pushing them down. To all of it, I said. And to the kids who'll never have to fight as hard as we did. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving someone wrong. It's creating something so right that it heals not just you, but everyone around you. And that's a victory worth fighting for. And now, I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker, the founder of the Rising Phoenix Arts Foundation. I stepped onto the stage at the National Arts Education Summit, facing a sea of faces. 5 years had passed since Dad's conviction. And here I was, about to announce our biggest project yet. "Thank you," I began, "but I'm not the only founder. Lily?" Lily joined me at the podium, her confidence now matching her talent. Behind us, a screen displayed photos of our youth programs in action. "When we started this," Lily said, "we were two broken people trying to prove something. Now look." The screen showed Jessica, our first scholarship recipient, standing proudly beside her gallery debut. Then Marcus, who'd gone from tagging walls to commission murals. Dozens more success stories followed. Today, I continued, we're announcing the opening of 10 new art centers across the country, places where talent won't be judged by gender, background, or family connections. The applause was deafening. In the front row, Faith wiped away tears while filming everything on her phone. Mom sat beside her, beaming. After the presentation, a reporter caught up with us. "Ms. Fowler, any comment on your father's upcoming parole hearing?" "My focus is on the future," I replied, using the line we'd rehearsed. "On creating opportunities I wish I'd had." "And revenge?" she pressed. "Your father's case is still cited as one of the most dramatic falls from grace in—" "The best revenge," Lily cut in, "is watching these kids succeed. Right, Rylan?" Rylan, now our youth program director, nodded. "Every student who finds their voice is another victory." Back at our flagship gallery, now 3 times its original size, we celebrated with the team. Faith clinked her glass against mine. "Remember when this was just an empty storefront and a crazy dream?" Speaking of dreams, Lily called everyone's attention. "There's something I need to show you." She unveiled a massive canvas, bigger than anything she'd done before. It showed a phoenix rising, but this time it wasn't alone. Dozens of smaller birds soared with it, each carrying a spark of the same fire. "It's us," she said simply. "All of us." The gallery door chimed. A teenage girl walked in, clutching a sketchbook. "Are you really giving art scholarships?" she asked timidly. "My dad says art's a waste of time, but—" "What's your name?" I asked. "Maria." "Well, Maria, let's see what you've got." Her drawings were raw, but powerful. Scenes of urban life, family struggles, dreams of something more. Looking at them, I saw myself at her age, fighting for recognition. When can you start? I asked. Her eyes widened. Really? Really? I handed her an application. Welcome to the family. Later that night, Mom pulled me aside. I visited him yesterday. I didn't have to ask who. How is he? Changed, or maybe broken. He asked about you. Mom. I know. But he saw the foundation's website, the kids' galleries. He said, she paused. He said you built something better than he ever did. Too little, too late. Maybe. But maybe that's not the point anymore. She was right. Somewhere along the way, this had stopped being about him, about revenge. It had become something bigger. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Turn on Channel 7 now. We gathered around Faith's tablet. A national news segment was featuring our foundation, interviewing students whose lives we'd changed. From scandal to salvation, the reporter said, the Rising Phoenix Foundation has transformed arts education across. We did it, Faith whispered. We really did it. Lily hugged me. No more living in anyone's shadow. I looked around the gallery, at Maria, sketching in a corner, at Rylan mentoring a group of students, at Mom finally standing tall and proud, at Faith and Lily, who'd believed in this dream when it was nothing but anger and hope. You know what's funny? I said. Dad always talked about legacy, about building something that would last. He never understood that real legacy isn't about buildings or bank accounts. It's about impact, Faith finished, about changing lives, about rising, Lily added, and helping others rise with you. Outside, the sun was setting on another day in our ever-growing story. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new students, new chances to prove that the strongest revenge isn't destruction, it's creation. To the Phoenix, Faith raised her glass. To all the Phoenixes, I corrected, watching Maria show her sketches to Lily. Every single one of them. Because sometimes the most powerful way to overcome your past is to become exactly what someone said you couldn't be. A force for good, a source of light, a catalyst for change. And that's a revenge sweeter than anything else could ever be. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile. I sat at the metal table, watching Dad shuffle in, wearing faded orange, older and grayer than I remembered. You came, he said, lowering himself into the chair. Maria insisted. I placed a glossy art catalog on the table. She wanted you to see her first solo show. He opened it carefully, studying each page. The girl you mentioned in your interview, the one who reminded you of yourself. She's graduating next month, full scholarship to the Art Institute. Like you should have had. He closed the catalog. Zariah, don't. I held up my hand. I'm not here for apologies. I'm here because holding on to anger was hurting me more than it ever hurt you. I saw what you built, he said quietly. The foundation, the programs. It's extraordinary. It is. And you had nothing to do with it. He flinched, but nodded. I know. That's what makes it remarkable. A guard announced 5 minutes remaining. Dad straightened in his chair. There's something I need to tell you, he said. I signed over my remaining patents to your foundation, the ones they didn't seize. They're worth. I don't care what they're worth. I stood up. Give them to Mom. She's the one who needs to rebuild her life. You're angry with me. No, Dad, I'm free of you. There's a difference. Outside, Lily waited in the car. You okay? Better than okay? I buckled my seatbelt. Let's go home. We have a graduation to prepare for. The gallery was buzzing with activity when we arrived. Maria stood on a ladder, hanging her centerpiece, a stunning portrait of her father, watching her paint, pride replacing his former disapproval. Perfect timing, Faith called out. The Times reporter is here for the profile piece. Actually, I said, let's have Maria do the interview. It's her story now. Mom appeared with a tray of coffee. Sarah just called. The West Coast Centers are ready to launch. And the London Gallery? Lily asked. Signed the lease this morning. Faith grinned. We're officially international. Rylan burst through the door with his youth art group. Sorry we're late. Traffic was insane. Just in time, I said, watching the young artists scatter to help with preparations. Maria needs help with the lighting. As the space filled with voices and laughter, I stepped into my office and opened my desk drawer. Inside lay the crumpled tuition check Dad had torn up all those years ago. I'd kept it as a reminder, but now, still holding on to that? Mom asked from the doorway. Not anymore. I dropped it in the shredder. Some things you need to let go of to move forward. Speaking of moving forward, she handed me an envelope. The divorce is final. I'm taking back my maiden name. Good for you. Zariah, Maria called. Can you come look at this arrangement? The gallery had transformed. Student artwork covered the walls, each piece telling a story of obstacles overcome, dreams pursued, strength discovered. What do you think? Maria asked nervously. I smiled. This is exactly what healing looks like. Faith appeared with champagne. A toast? To new beginnings. To chosen family, Lily added. To art, Maria said. To all of it, I raised my glass, but mostly to being exactly who we were meant to be. As the sun set, casting warm light through the gallery windows, I watched my family, the one I'd chosen, the one I'd built, the one that had grown beyond blood and pain into something beautiful. Mom squeezed my hand. You did good, kid. We did good. I corrected her. All of us. The gallery filled with visitors, each drawn to different pieces, different stories. I overheard Maria telling her father about her scholarship, saw his eyes shine with pride, watched Lily mentor young artists with the confidence she'd once lost, saw Faith organizing the next expansion with her usual efficiency. This was my revenge. Not destruction, but creation. Not pain, but healing. Not isolation, but community. Ready for the next chapter? Lily asked, joining me by the window. Through the glass, I could see our reflection overlaid on the city lights. Strong, unbroken, free. More than ready, I said. We've got work to do. Because the best stories don't end with revenge. They end with redemption, with growth, with love. They end with building something so beautiful that the pain that sparked it becomes just another color in the masterpiece. And that's exactly what we'd done.